Hello, let's talk about gold stake speedruns. So, gold stake speedrunning in Balatro is something that's mainly been popularized over recent time, and it's not something that was super big in the past. Mainly people wanted to play white stake and speedrun white stake. But as time's passed, the limits of white stake have started to be pushed. The random seed record for white stake plasma is 1 minute and 39 seconds, and that's probably a record that's going to stand for a very long time. But gold stake single deck, for example, isn't something that's really been played much. A lot of single deck times on gold stake were done by people playing all decks and starting with plasma and getting some great plasma times. Let's talk about Kai CTV. So he is revolutionary because he got the first ever sub 3 gold stake run, and sub 3 gold stake, the chances of getting a sub 3 gold stake run are genuinely like 1 in 1,000. 1 in 1,000 seeds will probably be a sub 3 minute run. Me knowing how awesome a sub 3 run would be, I re-rolled plasma deck gold stake for 40 hours 40 hours over the course of like a few weeks, and I managed to get the second ever sub 3, beating the record by 5 seconds. I got a 251. Then Moxus beat that with a time of 2 minutes and 46 seconds a day later, which was insane to me. The cool thing about single deck, and obviously one of the worst parts, is that a record can take an hour or it can take weeks. It is just re-rolling to find these seeds and having the composure to get through them. And it's also a test of mechanics and quick thinking. Now, I managed to take that record back with a time of 2:45.9. So seeing a record get optimized that much is so much fun to be a part of. So let's talk about gold stake plasma. Sub 3 is so hard to get. The reason it's so hard is because you have to capture lightning in a bottle and then perform perfectly. And I have never had my heart race so fast when I had a run that was sub 3.
Whoa, oh my god.
But let me break this even more for you. So, sub 2 is something that, on a random seed perspective, there is a set seed run of 147. And I'll put the link in the description. It's a very entertaining run. But it's a run that is so optimized that you couldn't get sub 3 on it, or sub 2, sorry, without knowing what's going to happen. This run we're going to show you is actually the seed from Kai CTV when he got his 256. I'm going to show you what he did, and I'm going to show you what he could have done. And I used to play the seed a lot for practice, but I think it'd be interesting to go through what could be the new limit of gold stake. Let's play. So D6 tag and investment tag, incredible start. Now this is the main time loss in the run. A hook. What would you go for here? Let's play a little game. You go for the straight, right? Or, we got a few clubs. You could go for the clubs. None of them are correct. You don't find a straight or a club flush. You find the spade flush. But it definitely makes more sense to go for the straight. But again, I think if you're looking at like pattern recognition, maybe you just see the spades and you just go for the color. But this is probably the main time loss. But still, you know, not the worst thing in the world. So we open the seed, and now this is a perfect example of the game wanting you to get an amazing run. So we have chaos here. Now you probably take it. D6 tag. So a big thing is decision making. We're going to break this down. So what would you do here if you're speedrunning? You might open the buffoon pack, but with a D6 tag, maybe you wouldn't, because re-rolling is quicker than opening a buffoon pack. But you might take chaos here. So if you take chaos, you don't have to, but it's a $1 reroll. And maybe if you're speedrunning on a single deck, you don't care too much about this because you're not going to be wanting to reroll much anyway. D6 tag is extremely powerful, and there's not that much reason to take this right now. But again, it's a pretty human thing to do. We're going to play a little bit inhumanly. So we reroll again. We get a bull. Okay. Now I think Kai opens buffoon pack, but we're going to take the bull. Now what we have is a spectral skip. He didn't do this time because, you know, it could be Ankh, but that's too speculative. When you're going for an all decks run, you're not going to take that. If you're going for a single deck, you take it every single time. Investment tag, we definitely want it. Let's go next. So here, if you just play, I think just a pair wins with 60 chips. Never mind. Okay, you gotta play the 2-pair there on the small blind. I've not actually played the small blind before. So we go into the shop and we see a spectral pack. Huge. I mean, you might as well open it now. We're not losing out on any value. And there's the Ankh. So here, Kai CTV didn't take this, but he went to the small blind and got the spectral pack anyway. But I'm going to show you that this spectral pack is perfect because due to the order, you get the Ankh anyway. Then you get the investment tag. Now 2 balls is incredible, and you can win with just 2 balls. You can even win with one bull if you get $400, but you need 800 chips combined to beat anything that isn't the Violet Vessel. So here, 2 chips, investment tag scales incredibly, you just go next. Then you get another investment tag. Now, the one negative about an investment tag is it's a time loss because it has animation time. But here we have a Mega Standard Pack. And what you might not have known there is I missed a frame perfect skip. So here you can skip the pack before it opens, but it's pretty tricky to pull off. Let's take the investment tag, and we win in 1. That's also good for time. Being able to win in 1 is so nice. But the main chunk of a Balatro run will be spent looking at this screen right here. Then we have 400 chips, that's almost halfway there. Get a rare tag, could be a blueprint, investment tag, boom. Guess what? We win in 1 again. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. What do we get in the rare tag? Invis. Okay, well you just go, right? And you get a top-up tag. Now, this is the one thing that makes this run a little slower. But I think when single deck gets pushed to its absolute limit, we will see you're gonna have to make these inhuman decisions a little bit. So you just keep going. Then you need 800 chips. We're almost there. We have to play 2 hands here. Now the human thing to do, 3 balls just beats Violet Vessel. It beats absolutely every boss. So of course you sell these 2. You get 3 balls. You go next. You get the frame perfect skip on the Celestial pack, of course. And you win him, I think 1? Yeah, so 500k a hand. Boom. And then the rare Joker is not important. And then you go. And Crimson Heart shows you only need 2 bulls to win. Bang. Now, the one thing that could make this run a little better is Crimson Heart not being at the end is a big time loss. Yes, that's how long it took me to record the intro. We're now going to replay the seed optimally. Let's do it. So the hardest part of the whole run is probably this one part, because you have to click these 5 cards very quickly. I didn't do it very quickly there. You have to click them again. The hardest part of speedrunning single deck is the first blind, because you want to transition to high card very quickly. Obviously, do that. Hit a little onk. Bang. Cool. So to this point, this is probably exactly what I would do, apart from maybe I get a little bit stuck on the hook. Don't get the skip. Maybe it's not actually possible on a Soundback. Go. Now, of course, we want to sell the 2 uncommons. Or do we? Do we want to sell the 2 commons? Or is this invis the go? And can you just get a 3rd ball? Well, you can. Pretty nice. Get the little frame perfect. So there's no animation. And then, obviously this should help with Crimson Heart, but it hits the bull anyway. So that's why we have to take the 3rd ball. It hits bull twice. There you go. Sub 2 is possible. And of course, so the one problem with the seed is that 1, Crimson Heart isn't great. 2, the top-up tag makes things a bit more complicated. And with hindsight, you're obviously going to sell the commons. But what's crazy about a seed like this is it tells you what to do from the very start. That's the hook. The first boss is the worst part of the whole run. And where you could begin to see some insane goal stake times is if you just draw a natural 5-card hand. The perfect thing is a 4 of a kind, because that's clicking 4 cards and you can do that very quick and sequentially. Now, playing a flush, you're usually skipping a few cards, so it's very easy to misclick. But playing a 4 of a kind, it's not as hard to misclick. But as you can see, 156, that's not me playing completely optimally. My mechanics were a little bit off. I did miss a little click at the very beginning. But still, that's 4 seconds of error. A lot smaller than, you know, the difference between a sub 3 and just a normal 3-minute run. In the current set seed world record for Gold Stake Plasma, what actually happens is, you know what? Let's play the seed. So yeah, on this one, you discard 1 card, the full house. It is unreal. So that's kind of like how optimized it needs to be to a degree. So we get the debuffed bull. Very funky, we get a debuffed bull. I know, it's very strange. You need to play the pair there, that's my bad. The pair is the difference between getting item 1 and 2. Then you just keep going. You get all these tags. Now these tags are perfect because they don't have any animation time at the very end. So this screen is a lot quicker, and that's why it's so much faster. You skip, more money, even more money. It's crazy. This feels like a genetically engineered seed to tell you what to do. As holographic tag is very important. So it takes 2 to get us out here. Then you need to take this and sell it because that is how much scoring you need. You need the scoring to be perfect. To get exactly 2k a hand, you need to sell the bull before you go into the shop. You then take this bull and you go next. And now we have enough scoring. Now where this run gets a little slower is it takes multiple hands to win. Then you go and you just click the cards. And we get 199k because the cards were low. The Cerulean Bell selects the exact perfect cards. And that's a 156, for me anyway. Obviously we talked a little bit through it, but that's quicker. The problem with this is it's completely inhuman. So in a random seed run, with the scoring need to be that perfect, you're not going to sell the Supernova. There's no way. You're not going to buy and sell that Supernova. You're just going to play and maybe open that Spectrum pack that was, you know, more baity. The thing with Kai's seed is, I think even if you sell the commons, you can just about scrape a sub 2. If you don't sell the commons and take the risk, you can maybe make up for it by going for the spades in the first ante. Somewhere out there is a seed that is a double bull at the very beginning, so you know when to go, and with a 5-card hand at the very front and center, so it's easy to go for, very obvious, and there's no Crimson Heart at the end. I think that is the way to make up for a few inhuman decisions, and that 1 top-up tag is kind of the main time loss, because with hindsight, you're not going to do that. But I believe one day sub 2 gold stake will be achieved, and a little short fun video for you, because I've been finding it interesting. I've been thinking about it, and me and Moxus are currently doing a little competition to see who can get the quickest plasma, and so I think one day there will be a run that gets uploaded by either one of us, or maybe one of you if you ever want to run this category, that is just unreal. It probably won't be sub 2, but I think it could be. Depending on how optimized the speedrun gets. Obviously it took me 40 hours to reroll, but then it took me like a few days after that, because I like went through the seeds a little bit better rather than like playing like holographic skips and stuff like that. That's not where it's at. You got to take an investment all rare. And so with the best seed filtering, going through them one by one, I think that this time could be achieved. Like imagine the time that people put into like Mario speedruns. If we put that into Balatro, this time could be achieved for sure. And I cannot wait to be there when that happens. But yeah, fun little video just in case any of you find it interesting. If you want to see like more kind of speedrun breakdown videos like this, obviously I'll be down to do them. But yeah, peace out. I've kind of said all I want to say, and yeah, I'd like to know your opinions. Peace out.